Hey guys, I'm back with part 3, I believe. Also, guys, when we continue, I remember where we left off. We were gonna get these this time. I think we'll get this one first, and then this one, and then we'll see what we're gonna get next. Also, guys, if some points if random parts of the video I stop talking a lot, I'm just warning you. Right now I'm high, so sorry if I'm not talking so much. So yeah. Well, it's night, so I can't really do anything right now. What jobs do we have? We got two of these. So maybe make another one of those? Oh, next one. Okay, so I think the first thing I was gonna do is get this. That means the thing in here should be cooked. Yes, right here. I'll put it on number 2. Um, guys. Oh yeah, nobody commented on on my other 2 videos, so go check out what I said about these in my episode 1, episode 2. Because I want to see if you guys like it out, or you guys want it in, and what kind of block do you want as well. Wow, I'm tempted right now just to get this right now, just to stop you guys from waiting. I might just do it. Yeah. All right. So I can get this one first. Oh, okay. Fence. Actually, that'd be pretty nice. I need fences, so I'm gonna get fences next. That, that. So this one causes threat levels, so this one and this one. I think I might get the lowest threat level first, and then the second next highest, and then the highest, which is the anvil. But first I'm gonna get, I want to get the fence first. I need fence. I also need points. But I believe I need one job. And I need, how do I get it? I don't know. Um, how do you get it? Hold on, guys, sorry. I think I might need this one first. Guys, if you wonder what I'm doing, I'm trying to build another job house. If you know what I mean. Probably don't. But you'll see what I mean soon enough. I did not mean to do bad. Whoops. Oh, so you can't get it back. So you cancel. I'm stupid. Just because I'm not talking very much.
made a really dumb decision because I couldn't get this house out of my head, trying to figure out the truth behind this whole scenario. So I decided to go on this phone line where delivery drivers share scary stories about creepy deliveries they had in the state I was in. So I searched up the name of the street from the order to see if anything popped up, and what do you know? I found multiple posts of that same house. Different drivers, different delivery guys, but the same pattern every time. They order just one drink with instructions to come inside, and when they get inside, there's a candle lit up. The exact same thing that I experienced. Apparently, this had been happening for months. All the stories they had sounded super similar, except for one. Because although most of the posts, they would mention the candles and the weird house, and that no one ever actually came up to get the order, one delivery driver had a different experience. In their story, it started out the same, where they went inside and saw the candles and everything. But as they were going upstairs, they said they looked out the window, which meant to not be covered at the time, and saw someone standing by their car. He said he made eye contact for a split second, and then that person ran away once he realized he was caught. He immediately went out to his car in an attempt to find this person, but by the time he got back, there was nothing. At first, he thought this person was trying to steal his car.
Well, guys, how do you like that? I mean, I don't hate this build, but at the same time, I'm not great at building, guys. I'm very terrible at it.
Knowing that there could be more places like this out there, I quit Postmates that day. I was just too terrified to do it anymore, and I wanted to spend more time playing Fortnite. But mostly I was just too terrified, so I deleted the app completely. But here's the thing that still freaks me out. About a year ago, I randomly thought about this story for the first time in a while. So I decided to drive back by that house, but in the daytime, just to see if anything had changed. But when I arrived, what did I see? Nothing. The house was demolished. So I don't have the answers to what was really going on inside this house, and after it got demolished, I probably never will. But if there's one thing I know now, it's that I will stay unemployed forever. If you've ever thought about exploring an abandoned school, just know it is not safe. Because I made the biggest mistake of my life a couple months ago when some friends and I decided to explore an abandoned school on a road trip. But what started as just curiosity turned into one of the most terrifying nights of my life after we heard a noise that seemed innocent but would later prove to not be. So let's start from the beginning. What would you do if you saw a massive, creepy building in the middle of nowhere during a road trip? Because that's exactly what me and my friends saw when we were driving from Los Angeles to Vegas. We were in the middle of a long road trip and pulled out of our minds how long the drive was. When suddenly, my friend who was driving slams on the brake and goes, "What is that?" So we all look to where he's pointing and see an absolute massive abandoned building in the middle of nowhere. So of course, it sparked our curiosity right away. Considering the fact that we still had a couple of hours before getting to our destination, we thought this was a good place to stop and stretch our legs. So we all agreed. We should go check it out, but we had no idea how much further we would go than just checking it out. Because at first, none of us knew what it was. We all had our guesses. One of my friends thought it was an old shopping mall. One of them thought it was an old abandoned government building. Because this place looked like a Spirit Halloween when it's not October. There could have been a sign on the outside of it that said free candy inside, and I would have been like, yeah, that sounds about right. And my big bag still would have felt for it too. So none of us had any idea what we were looking at. But the closer we got to it, the more intriguing it became. Because there were vines growing up the side of the building, making it look like it hasn't been touched in years. So all signs pointed to this place being abandoned. Spoiler alert, it was not. Because as we got out of the car to walk up to this place, we finally figured out what it was. From the very windows, we could see rows of desks and a chalkboard. Oh my gosh, it's a very school. And something about seeing a place like this where you know kids used to go to school inside there, and now it being completely empty felt really off. And that feeling will only get stronger as time went on. By the way, if you see me sweating, it's because I filmed these videos in my closet, and it's so hot today. However, time to lock in again. So we spent about 10 minutes walking around the outside of the building, looking through each window. We could see empty classrooms with desks still arranged in a neat order. There was a hallway with lockers lining the walls, some of them still open, and then what looked like a cafeteria. There were tables and chairs scattered all around. It was really strange because this place almost felt as if all the students just got up one day, left, and never came back. This was the first thing that didn't make sense. Because why would a school just shut down without anything being done to it? And also, we were kind of in the middle of nowhere. So why would there be a school in this location at all? There were a lot
I'm
of
trying to build a
questions,
nice tall
but the
tower,
answer to that
guys.
was not what we expected. Because the whole time we're walking around the outside, my gut is telling me that something's just off about this place. But all my friends wanted to go inside. And if there's one thing about me, if my friends are down to do something, I'm down to do it too. Like if you asked if I wanted to go skydiving into a volcano, I would say absolutely not. But the moment my friend goes, hey, we're going skydiving into a volcano tomorrow, want to come? I'm there. I'm down for anything. So now that we decided we wanted to check out this place, it was time to find a way inside. And that was pretty easy, because as we were walking around, we noticed a place where a door was supposed to be was just getting so much more from them, when in reality we just look shocked and get back on the road. But unfortunately, I was wrong. It started out normal going inside. It was anything you would expect from an abandoned building. But you know that feeling when you realize you might have made a huge mistake? That's exactly what hit me about 15 minutes after we walked into this abandoned school. Because we were checking out what seemed to be the main office, when suddenly I heard it, a beeping sound. Not loud. Definitely electronic. It almost sounded like when your smoke detector battery is dying, but it was more consistent. So I stopped what I was doing and listened. Hey guys, do you hear that? They all went quiet, and now everyone could hear it. Beep, beep, beep. Now I knew it was real. The sound was really strange because it echoed off all the empty walls and made it impossible to find out where it was coming from. We tried walking in different directions to see if it got louder or softer, but it seemed to be the same volume no matter where we went. It was almost like it was bouncing around the whole. This is when the whole vibe started to change. We went from being excited to explore this new place to now being confused and a little bit worried. None of us had a good answer for what this sound could have been. One of my friends thought it could have possibly been a security guard noise. And if you guys remember the abandoned mansion video, trust me, we did not want to run into any security. But that theory went out the window after something else. And this is where it got really weird. Beeping went on for around a minute, super consistently. But then it just stopped. Complete silence. We all looked at each other like, okay, that was strange, but maybe it's over now. So we kept exploring. We checked out the gymnasium, which was huge and still had basketball hoops hanging from the ceiling. But then about 5 minutes later, the beeping started again. But this time, it lasted a few seconds before stopping. That's when we all started to get genuinely spooked. The pattern made no sense. Why would it start for a minute, then stop, then suddenly start again for 5 seconds? We tried to convince ourselves that maybe it was just old building systems. Maybe there was a backup generator that was working somewhere. Or it really could have been a smoke detector. But none of these explanations. The timing was too random. The worst part was not knowing what we were dealing with. If it was just old building systems, fine. We ignore it and keep exploring. But if someone else was actually in there with us, we needed to know who and where they were. After the third time the beeping happened, we needed to make a decision. We could either leave and always wonder what that beeping sound was, or we could go to the source and finally figure it out to put our minds at ease. We weren't quite ready to sit on the road trip for another 5 hours, so we decided to go with option 2. Let me just tell you, that was not the right decision, because we decided to split up into pairs to cover more ground. My friends and I went toward one side, while the other two went in the opposite direction. The plan was to text each other if anyone heard the beeping sound get louder on their side. We checked room after room, listening carefully for any electronic sounds. Empty classrooms just stared back at us with their broken desks. Some rooms had old teaching materials scattered over the floor, math worksheets from ages ago, and every time we opened the door, my heart would be racing, thinking that this could be the room where we find the source. Then it happened again. The beeping started up, but this time it sounded like it was coming from a completely different direction than what we previously. So Jake looked at me with this confused expression on his face. I swear it was coming from the other side before, but now it sounds like it's coming from upstairs. That's when we started to wonder if whatever was making the sound was moving around the building. Someone was carrying whatever device was making this noise. Then my phone buzzes, and it's a text from the other dude saying, "We heard the noise clearer. It sounds like it's coming from upstairs." We finally started to consider the possibility that we weren't alone in this building. What if someone was just walking around with a phone or something? That would have been good. Because if someone was actually doing this, they probably knew that we were there too. We were pretty loud when we walked in, so there's no way they wouldn't have heard us. But also think about it this way. If there's someone in an abandoned building in the middle of nowhere, wouldn't you want to run into them? I would, but there was no cars outside this place or anything, so it just brought more mystery to the situation. We decided to meet back up and search together after we agreed that the sound was coming from upstairs. The four of us regrouped in the main hallway,
Okay, so
and
I'm gonna
then we
get
took the stairs up.
defenses.
Every step felt
I think I'm gonna
dangerous. I
get
kept
this thing
looking back just to
actually.
make sure that no one
Like,
was
I'm gonna get
following.
both, but I
Just
think
as
I'm
we
gonna
got
get
to the
this
top
thing
of the stairs,
first.
the beeping
Because
sound
it's
stopped again.
already
This
ready to
time,
be collected.
we were sure it was coming from the second floor.
Yeah, I'm
Once
gonna
we
get
got to the
this.
top, our thoughts were looking at the hallways at both sides. All of them had their doors closed. That's when the paranoia really started to kick in. Every single closed door could have had a person hiding behind it. We moved slowly down the hall, all right next to each other. And I know we were all thinking the same thing. If someone dangerous pops out, we're using the other person as a human shield. Or maybe they weren't thinking that, but I sure was. So we stopped by every room to listen for that beeping noise. My hands were shaking as I reached for the binoculars. I just watched the new Final Destination movie, and after seeing all the difficulties that you could get hurt, I never would have done anything if I saw that before. But we got about halfway down the hall when the beeping started again. It was definitely coming from one of the rooms at the end. I heard it pointing towards the door that was slightly open with darkness behind it. That one. We all nodded and started walking towards it. Every step felt like we were walking into a the trap. Then we heard it. Footsteps. And our footsteps, different sounds coming from inside that room. And they were heavy, almost as if someone was stomping around. We all froze, because now we know someone was definitely in the room. And someone who probably knew coming right up. Those noises on purpose or us over there, we had no idea. What do you think is scarier? Finding someone where you expect to see them, or not finding anyone at all when you do? I'm about to make an argument for why the second option is way worse. Because when we finally mustered up the okay, I was doing that. When we finally mustered up the courage to go inside that room, we pushed through the door all at the same time, ready to face whatever was waiting for us. But after opening it, the room was empty. Now the questions were starting to multiply. There were definitely footsteps. We could not have been mistaken for anything else. No chance. We all stood there looking around, completely clueless, just waiting for someone to jump out at us. But there was literally nowhere to hide. The room was bare. And after being so worried about the sound we were hearing, all of a sudden, it was the absence of sound that started to really scare us. The beeping sound had completely stopped. The footsteps that we heard just a few moments ago was nowhere to be seen. It was so quiet you could hear a fly far. At least when there was beeping, we knew something was happening. Now, we had no idea what was going on. We walked around the entire room, checking every corner. We even checked the ceiling like maybe someone was hiding in the tiles up there. We looked through the windows to see if someone could have possibly jumped out of them, but there was no way. They wouldn't have made it. The confusion was eating at all of us.
It's Halloween. Stop. I knew I was missing something. You know, do you want me to make me?
Revolescences is bursting with pure aloe vera and luxurious ingredients to deeply
Wow,
hydrate and
guys,
refresh.
I think we're gonna get that one last thing. Wait a minute.
14 seconds.
Yeah, once I get the fence, I think that's gonna be like the last bit. Then I'm gonna end it here because I don't want this video being too long. I don't want to bore you guys. I just want you guys to see my progress with me.
But then we thought of a really interesting theory. What if all the noises we had just been hearing were coming from a speaker and not someone at all? Like someone was just using a speaker to play all those noises
It's
and
not
wake
mine.
us, or maybe to warn us to get out. That could have explained the sound of the footsteps too. This was our best guess at the moment, but the reality was much more complex than we ever could have thought. Because the panic started to settle in when we realized we might be dealing with something that we can't predict its next move. If there was a person in a building, at least we knew what we were dealing with, but this felt like we were being messed with by something that's invisible. Like we were trapped in some type of game where we didn't even know the rules. And what do you do when you're playing a game that you know you can't win? You quit. So that's what we did. We decided to leave. We were going to walk back downstairs, out the building, through the fence, and get in the car. No more exploring, no more trying to figure out whatever those noises were. We just wanted to get back on the road and pretend none of this ever happened. So we made it to the staircase and started to head back down towards the first floor. By the way, keep in mind, I was fine with doing this. I didn't care as much as the others to figure out what that noise was. I just wasn't trying to get abducted by any aliens. Unless the aliens are, like, interested in me. Then, in that case, maybe not. But as we're going back towards the car, I realized we had a 5-hour road trip coming up, and I really needed to use the bathroom. And I didn't think it would be a good idea to pee my pants for the third time that day, so I told my friends I was going to use the bathroom in the school, and I would meet them by the exit. I had no idea that this bathroom incident would change everything we knew about this abandoned school. Because as I'm doing my business at the bathroom, I noticed something on the sink that makes me start to shake. A soda can. But not just any soda can. One that was clearly open very recently. How did I know? It was still fizzing. I could hear the tiny bubbles popping at the surface. So my brain started to go crazy trying to figure this out. Carbonation doesn't last that long once you open a can. Maybe a few hours at most. This meant someone had opened this can today. And more likely, it was in the past few hours. All those electronic
I
beeping
realized
sounds, the footsteps we heard
I
downstairs,
can
suddenly
go up one
it
more.
felt like we weren't alone again. Someone else was definitely in this building with us. And they weren't just passing through. No, they were comfortable enough to open a soda can in the bathroom and just chill. That meant they probably knew the building pretty well. But wait, if the soda can was still fizzing, that meant if someone was actually in here, they were probably really close by. And that's when I heard something that made my heart drop. A shuffling sound coming from one of the bathroom stalls. It was quiet, but it was definitely there. Like someone shifting weight, trying to get comfortable while trying to stay completely. Part of me wanted to run out and never act like any of this happened. But I was also terrified that I would whoever just made that noise would know that's where this go. The shuffling sound happened again. definitely coming from the last stall at the end. The door was closed, but there was a gap at the bottom, so I could see if anyone's feet was under there. And you know I like my feet. Sorry. So I bent down slowly and quietly, and I looked. What did I
Breathe.
see?
Bro's freaky.
Shoes. Beat up sneakers pointed toward the stall door after someone was using the door. I had to make a choice. I could either run away, let this person stay in the bathroom stall, and hope they don't come after me, or I could find out who they were and what they really wanted. And obviously, I didn't make a YouTube video, so I tried to figure out who they were. No, I'm just kidding. That's not why I did it. I love you guys, but I ain't doing that for God. The real reason I wanted to figure out what would be on that door is because this person clearly already heard us. So in my mind, I was like, okay, I'm 3 feet away from them. If they wanted to do something to me, I'm already cooked, so I might as well just see what's in there. So I took a breath and knocked on the door softly. Hey, I know you're in there. After a couple seconds, the door slowly opens, and this guy peeks out at me. He looks rough, like he hadn't showered in weeks, which isn't that weird because I haven't showered at all this year. But still, his hair was all messy, and his clothes were dirty and wrinkled. But the look on his face
You okay?
wasn't scary or threatening. He just looked absolutely terrified. Like he was more afraid of me than I was of him. So we both just stared at each other for a few seconds, not knowing what to say. Then he finally opens his mouth. Please don't call the cops. I'm not causing any trouble. I promise. That's when I realized this guy wasn't some crazy person or a criminal. He was just scared and trying to hide from something. The tension in the room completely changed. Instead of being scared of each other, we started to relax a little bit now. And then he told me his whole story. His name was David. And David had been homeless for about
Guys,
6
might end it
months.
here.
Apparently, he had been living in this abandoned school
I don't know.
because it was dry and relatively safe. The police had already kicked him out twice before, so when he heard people inside the building, he just assumed it was them again, and he ran. That's why he hid when he heard us exploring earlier. Then came the explanation that solved our biggest mystery, the beeping sound. After asking him about this, it turns out it was his microwave. He had this little portable microwave that he used to heat up food, and it kept beeping every time his Hot Pockets were ready. And if you've ever had a Hot Pocket before, you know that it can be 5 million degrees on the outside, but still ice cold on the inside. So we kept having to heat them up. That's why the beeping sounds would start, and then stop, and then start again. So I brought my friends over to the bathroom, and we explained the whole situation together. And now, I'm using this experience as an excuse to never go inside a school again. The Zodiac Killer, Ted Bundy, the Freeway Killer. What do all three of these infamous serial killers have in common? They all used hitchhiking as a way to find their next victim. So after learning this information, it's probably safe to say that you should never pick up a hitchhiker because chances
Ugh.
are it won't end well, right? Apparently that's not what I thought because a little over a year ago, I was traveling from Joshua Tree, California to Los Angeles because I was at a friend's birthday party. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with that area, it's about a 4 to 5 hour drive, and let me tell you, it is not a scenic one. You see, Joshua Tree is in the middle of the desert, so it's an area with a lot of open land, and hypothetically speaking, it's a great area to hide a body because the odds of someone finding it are very slim. Hypothetically speaking, of course. So anyways, I'm driving back from Joshua Tree, and I'm all by myself because all of my friends were staying at that house the whole weekend, but I had to leave a day early because I had a wedding to go to the next day. But it was my friend's birthday, and I wanted to spend as much time with him as possible, so I didn't leave the house until about 11 p.m. And since it's a 4-hour drive, I could have been back to Los Angeles around 3 a.m. Now that's super late, obviously. So once I left the house, I didn't expect to see anyone else on the road because you're driving in the middle of nowhere. So it'd be really weird to see anyone that wasn't named Walter White in this area at that time. So I'm driving, and my assumption was correct. There was no one on the road. But about an hour into the drive, probably about 5 miles away, I see a light flashing in the distance. So obviously, I have the same thought that any normal, rational person would have, which is, yep, that's an alien, and I'm 1000% about to get abducted right now. It's over. Okay, that might be far-fetched, but it really wasn't ridiculous to think that because Joshua Tree is not that far from Area 51. You don't think one of those little aliens could have teleported through the wall and escaped? I mean, yeah, they're smart enough to travel to a completely different galaxy, but you
Yeah.
can't escape Nevada? Okay, enough yapping about alien conspiracy theories. Anyways, as I get closer to this mysterious light, I can see a silhouette of what looks like a human. And then once I'm about half a mile away, and for those of you who aren't American, half a mile is about 300 Queen Elizabeth steps. I hope that helps. But once I'm about half a mile away, I start slowing down because obviously I know it's people that check what's going on. Like for anyone that wonders why there's traffic in the world when everyone can just go, it's people like me. I'm the reason why. Because if I see a car crash, I'm slamming my brakes and instigating, looking at it like this. Can't park there. So eventually, I get to a point where I can see that it's clearly a person holding a super strong flashlight. And they saw that I was slowing down, so they start flashing their light towards me as if they were signaling for help. And like I said, I'm nosy, so I roll my window down to see what they're gonna say. course, I keep my doors locked, just in case. And the person with the flashlight goes, "Thank you so much for stopping. My car broke down a while ago, but my phone has been dead, so I haven't been able to call insurance or anyone for help. Can you please help me?" Now listen, I know that I should be smart enough to see that this feels like a trap, but I also have a heart, okay? And if this person was really in trouble and needed help, I was gonna help them. Because also, if you didn't know, the desert gets cold at night. And I mean like freezing cold. So if they have to sit there the whole night without any heat or anything, by the time morning came, let's just say, we would have had to defrost them before putting them in the oven. So I know I couldn't just leave them there and drive away. My conscience would have felt way too guilty, but I also was still skeptical. So I asked the man how I could help him, and he said if I had a phone, he could use it to call his insurance company. And for a second, I was like, well, what if he's trying to steal my phone? But then after I thought about it, I was like, what's he gonna do? Run off with it? Yeah. Good luck, buddy. We're in the middle of the desert, and I'm pretty sure my car can go faster than you can run. My 2018 Honda Civic is basically a Lamborghini. So I let him borrow my phone.
Whoa.
Once again, but then he says it's going to take a minute because he had to look up the number of his insurance company because he didn't know my car. So he's using my phone for maybe 3 to 4 minutes
What?
without calling anyone. And he kept saying it just wasn't loading because we were in the desert, so the internet was slow. But then finally, he calls someone, and I hear another voice on the other side of the phone. So I trust that this guy's actually talking to someone trying to get help. And after about a minute of talking, he hangs up the phone and gives it back to me. So he says thank you again and asks me if he got his problem resolved. But he goes, well, kind of. Since we're so far into the desert and it's so late at night, the insurance company won't be able to get here until morning. Then he says, I know this is asking a lot, but do you think you'd be able to give me a ride to the nearest hotel? And I already know what you guys are going to say.
Tyler, this is how every single horror movie starts.
And I agree. Trust me, I'm always the one who will watch a horror movie and judge the main character because they'll be like, what's that? Over the past 13 people who went to that really creepy house right there who seriously disappeared? Yeah? Oh, we should go inside it then. I'm not that dumb, I promise. But like I said, I would have felt so guilty if I left that guy out there in the freezing cold for the whole night. And listen, I may be dumb, but I ain't stupid. So I said to the guy, I'm sorry, I'm just not comfortable giving you a ride by myself. How about I call the police and see if one of them can pick you up and take you to a hotel? But the moment I brought up the police, his face looks grim and he goes, no, no police, please. So I'm starting to the side of, oh, okay. You're a Ted Bundy impersonator, aren't you? So now, I really don't trust him because of how he responded. But then he goes, sorry, I would just prefer to not have police out here. The plates on my car are updated and I really can't afford a ticket right now. I'm already going to have to pay to get my car repaired, as you can see. Okay, that was a pretty quick cover story, but I still don't trust him. So then I finally asked him what exactly is wrong with his car. And he goes, he's been having engine problems for a while now, and I think it finally just broke down. Now, I don't know anything about cars, so I couldn't help him with that. But my dad does. He's like the Michael Jordan of fixing cars. So I tell the guy I could call my dad and see if he knows what the problem is and how to fix it. Because the guy had tools in his vehicle. He just didn't know how to use them, which was also another sketchy thing. Like, why do you have tools if you don't know how to use them? Perhaps he had them for a different reason. But the guy says that would be great if I could call my dad, so I did. And guess what? My dad listened. I should have been surprised. So we're back to square one now, trying to think of solutions. And keep in mind, this whole time, he keeps begging me for a ride to the hotel. And I keep turning him down. But then finally, we see another car coming our way in the distance. So the guy waves him down like he did to me. And this car also stops. So I was like, you guys must be as nosy as I am, huh? Like, let's be real. We're all nosy. We want to know what's going on. It's the same reason that if you see a guy getting rejected by a girl in public, your reaction is like, oh my gosh, this is so sad. I can't watch this. I can't bear to watch this. Meanwhile, the whole time in your head, you're thinking, can this please keep going because it's so entertaining? That's just how humans are. Really hope that part was relatable, or else I'm gonna sound like a crazy evil person. But anyways, the person who just came asks what the issue is, and the hitchhiker explains it to him and asks if he could give him a ride to the nearest hotel. But the difference between me and the other car that stopped was this car had 4 people in. So if this guy was actually the next Ted Bundy, he was gonna have to turn into LeBron in the finals to take all of them on. And they were all bigger guys too, so I don't think they were as sketched out or worried as I was that this guy would harm them. So after explaining his story, the people agreed to give him a ride. And I just drove off and got home about 4 hours
Damn.
later. So that's the end, right? The hitchhiker was just a normal guy who genuinely needed a ride with no ulterior motive, right? I wish. But no, that wasn't the case. Because about a week later, I'm watching the news. And no, I don't normally watch the news, okay? My mom was watching it, and I just happened to be in the same room as her, okay? We all know that everyone's mom watches the 9 o'clock news. So anyways, my mom has this playing, and I'm not really listening to it because I'm on my phone. But then I hear the news anchor saying, coming up next, beware of this hitchhiker scam in Joshua Tree. So my ears perk up like Diddy when he hears the word baby oil. And I'm walking in. And when the news anchor starts talking about it, sure enough, there was an ongoing scam of a person that would pretend to have a broken down vehicle, asking for a ride to the nearest hotel. But for the people who did give him a ride, at some point, he picked him up, arriving to the hotel, he would pickpocket them. So he stole wallets, jewelry, anything you could think of. I guess there was 4 different people that went into the police station and had a similar story about this happening to them. So when I saw that, I knew it had to be the guy that I met. But this made me really curious about one thing. Who was the guy he called using my phone? Because there was a voice responding to him on the other side, so I really thought he was talking to someone. And it just happened a week ago, so I still had the phone number in my recent calls. So I decided to call that phone number to see who they were. Right now, I was trying to solve a case on. I don't know what I was thinking. I thought I was still on hold for something. So I looked at my recent calls and found the number. And then I called it myself. But when they picked it up, I could hear slight breathing, but they didn't say anything. So I said, hello, is anyone there? And after about 2 seconds of silence, they just hung up without saying a word. So I tried calling back right away. But when I did that, without ringing once this time, it went straight to voicemail. Why did that happen? They blocked my number. So I don't know if this person was Robin and the hitchhiker was Batman or what. But you know what? This is why you never act like the people in the horror movies. If you don't believe in ghosts, I guarantee I can change that after telling you about an experience I had at an abandoned hospital that is said to be haunted. I was skeptical how true that was at first until I went to the building for myself and saw something that I still can't explain to this day. So this is exactly what happened. Have you ever heard a story so many times that you just had to find out if it was true for yourself? That's how I was with Linda Vista Hospital. If you've never heard of this place before, let me tell you a little bit about it. Linda Vista Hospital is an old abandoned building in Los Angeles. Many people believe it's haunted. The reason is that this hospital had a bad reputation of medical mistreatment over the years, leading to many people passing away inside this building. So since it's closed, there's all sorts of crazy things people say they experienced while being inside here. With one of the creepiest stories being about a baby that people say they can either hear crying or see crawling on the floor. Now I live like 20 minutes away from this abandoned place, and I love spooky stuff. So I had to go investigate to see if this was real for myself.
Oh, it keeps going
Clients
around.
mentioned the
Stupid.
same stuff. Lights turning on by themselves in a building with no electricity. Voices, even though they were the only ones in there. At first I thought they were just over dramatizing their experiences to make it sound more spooky. But then one of the people that went there that I talked to said something that really caught my attention. So the person I was talking to was named Noah. And Noah, along with a couple of buddies, went to explore this abandoned hospital last summer. He's a pretty sarcastic guy. Like, I've never seen him be too serious until I asked him about this hospital. Because with the most straight face ever, he swore to me that he saw a small shadow dart across the hallway while inside there. He said it was definitely
Guys, I'm also trying to build a wall.
that he couldn't verify anything.
Build
And
the
that's what we
wall.
saw that night.
Sorry, I have very bad impressions. I was supposed to be Donald Trump.
About this place. Noah's story made me even more
Build
curious.
no.
So I started
Nope,
looking
not
into
even gonna
the
try.
reviews
Not
of
even
this
going
hospital.
to
People
try.
exploring the place, setting up ghost hunting equipment, the usual
Guys, I think we'll end it here, and hopefully next episode I'll have some fences ready. I hope. Alright, I think we'll end it here. We'll end it like right here. This was these are my thumbnails. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Have a great one. Love you all. Stay positive. See you in the next video. See you guys. Bye.